Thank you, Professor Milnick. And two interesting items. One is we have more than 100 graduates of the Rafael Recanati International School now serving in the Israel Defense Force. And the other interesting item is that 70% of all of the students who come to the Rafael Recanati International School end up making Aliyah. So, in a sense, we are Israel's secret weapon. And speaking of secret weapons, I have Dr. Boaz Ganor here, who's about to deliver the keynote speech tonight on the topic of Arab Spring, as opposed to Arab Winter, Fall, or Summer. And Dr. Ganor is the Deputy Dean of the Lauder School of Government. He's also the head of the Institute for Counterterrorism. Actually, it's Dr. Ganor who made counterterrorism the academic subject which it is in the world today. He also, by the way, holds the first PhD in the history of the State of Israel in the area of counterterrorism. His textbooks, by the way, are used by universities worldwide. So the creativity and innovation and the wisdom of Professor Reichman in allowing such a field to become an academic field here in Israel 5 years before 9/11 is what happens when you think out of the box and you're creative. Without any further ado, Dr. Ganor, Arab Spring.
Thank you, JD. It's really a pleasure to be here. Professor Melnick, IDC Provost, Mr. Davis, the head of the RRIS, distinguished colleague, students, and families. It is an honor to speak today at the annual lecture in memory of Sarah and Zoltan Wind at the Dean's List Award ceremony for the Rafael Recanati International School. This is a very happy occasion, both for the students that made it to the Dean list and the President list, but it's also a happy occasion for us, the IDC faculty, who have the pleasure to teach such bright and excellent students. At this troubled time, Israel desperately needs this kind of bright and excellent students. Israel definitely needs leadership of excellence, as the students here represents. And I do not have any doubt in my mind that in the near future, we will see many of you, the excellent students of the RIS, the excellent students of IDC, we will see you integrated in the political, economical, social leadership of Israel and other respective states. Israel is facing numerous problems and challenges. I think Israel is facing unprecedented number of challenges. To name a few: socio-economical challenges, demographic challenges, security challenges, unstable political system, and so on and so forth. Yesterday I met a delegation from Taiwan. I think they are the only one who are leading and having a bigger list of problems than Israel, but we are the second after them. So one of those problems which is emerging now, and Israel needs to find a way to face and to counter, is the tectonic changes in the Middle East. And when I talk the tectonic changes in the Middle East, I refer to what Jonathan Davis named or called the Arab Spring. Some of us refers to that as the Islamic winter, but the idea, the concept of Arab Spring actually represent the euphoria that the international community, the Western community, United States, was referring to this process from the beginning. Some of you, my dear friends, our students, hopefully will choose as a career the academic arena. Some of you will become scholars, and I do recommend very much that you will do so. The academic profession is really a great profession. The academic world is fascinating. It is gratifying standing here in front of you today. It's gratifying. Nevertheless, the academic world and the academic profession, as far as I know, it's the only profession in which you have another benefit. This is the sabbatical year. So when you think about a profession, definitely think about the academic world. But I was mentioning the sabbatical year because I was spending my sabbatical year 3 years ago at the University of Stanford. And it was a very unique time for me, for my family. It was also a very interesting time from the professional point of view, because this was the election year of President Obama. And to spend a year at the Bay Area at that particular period of time, this was a very interesting experience for me. Immediately after Obama won the election, a few weeks after that, he decided to give a public statement and to present the new American foreign policy in reference to the Arab and the Muslim world. What President Obama wanted to tell the Arab world, what the message that he wanted to convey to the Muslim world is United States is not the enemy of Islam. United States is actually refers to itself as an open society that integrates all religions, and we have nothing against Islam whatsoever. Immediately after the speech was given, and by the way, the speech was given where? I'm sure you remember, in Cairo. He actually, President Obama decided 3-4 weeks after he was elected to fly all over the way to Cairo to give his talk in Al-Azhar University, when standing next to him, his best ally in the Muslim world, and this is President Mubarak. And he wanted to express and convey those messages in Cairo that the whole Muslim world would listen to it. Immediately after his speech in Cairo, I was asked to be interviewed in San Francisco TV. And the first question that they posed to me was, what is the reaction in Israel to the speech in Cairo? I said to them, look, I'm an Israeli. It's almost a coincidence that I now live temporarily in the Bay Area. Therefore, I do not represent Israel, and I don't know exactly what is the immediate reaction. But I'm also an Israeli, and the Israelis are giving answers, even if they don't really know the right answer. So if you ask me, I think that in Israel, we have mixed feelings towards the speech in Cairo. And when I say mixed feelings, I refer to the combination of hope and concern. They say, can you elaborate on that? I said, of course, the concern is that listening to the speech in Cairo, it seems to us that President Obama do not fully understand the complexity of the situation in the Arab and the Muslim world. The hope is that if he's right, and he's conveying the right message and using the right buzzwords, then things will improve, and we probably will be one of the first benefactors of the new situation in the region. The second question that was posed to me, and what is the reaction in the Jewish community in the Bay Area toward the speech in Cairo? And I said, look, I definitely do not represent the Jewish community in the Bay Area, but since you've asked me, I think that at the Jewish community in the Bay Area, there are mixed feelings towards the speech in Cairo. So they asked me, they were confused. So what's the difference between the feelings in Israel and the feelings in the Jewish community in the Bay Area? I said, look, in Israel, we have much, much more concern and very little hope. In the Bay Area, there is a lot of hope and very little concern. And I have to say that in a retrospective point of view, my concern only grew since I gave this interview to the television. It started even before the Arab Spring, about a year before the Arab Spring, when I read the new policy, the new counterterrorism policy of United States, which was mentioned and stated by John Brennan, the White House advisor for counterterrorism. And he was saying in his speech, in one of the first lines, he said, terrorism is not the enemy of the United States. the counterterrorism advisor, this is not the human rights advisor, this is the counterterrorism advisor for the president, said terrorism is not the enemy of the United States. Well, I know he was playing with words. I do it sometimes as well. Terrorism is a tactic. A tactic cannot be an enemy. Therefore, terrorism is not the enemy of the United States. Okay, let's say we can live with that. But the second statement was much more problematic. He said, jihadists and Islamists are not the enemy of the United States. And immediately after he gave this speech, I wrote an op-ed at the Jerusalem Post, and I wrote there at the title, if jihadists and Islamists are not the enemy of the United States, then who is the enemy of the United States? I asked them, what is the message that you are trying to convey to the pragmatic Muslims around the world by saying that Islamists and jihadists are not the enemy of the United States? It's a very dangerous and confusing message. What is the message that you're conveying, I asked, to your ally, your best ally, President Mubarak, that his life is on stake and he's threatened to be assassinated on a daily basis? By whom, by the way? By the Islamists and the jihadists. And why, by the way? Because he's being regarded as the best ally of you, President Obama, in the United States. What is the message that you convey to him by saying the jihadists and the Islamists are not the enemy of the United States? What should have been the message, at least in my view? For that, let me share with you another anecdote. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was invited to give a talk in Brussels. And when I was getting into the auditorium to give my talk, there was another speaker there. And he was giving a very lively and interesting lecture to the European gentlemen. And he said to them, how dare you refer to Islam as if it is something to do with terrorism? Do you know what Islam is altogether? Islam is a religion of peace and clemency. You are using the term jihadi terrorism. Do you know what jihad is all about? Jihad is about doing those good deeds and not those atrocities. He was very persuasive. Then it was my turn, and he was still in the room, so I actually referred to him in the opening of my lecture, and I said to him, my friend, let me thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I sincerely mean that you took the trouble to fly all over the way from Sudan to Brussels to share with us those two important messages, that Islam is not terrorism, and terrorism is not Islam. And to let us know that jihad is not terrorism. But between you and me, my friend, I don't know why did you bother to fly all over the way from Sudan to Brussels to share with us those two important messages instead of staying in Sudan or crossing to Yemen or crossing to Afghanistan or Pakistan. I can name so many countries, and tell those people which are beheading innocent civilians under the name of Islam and raising the flag of jihad while they do that, please tell them that what they do is against the Islamic religion and against Islamic verdicts. If you have a task in life, my friend, is not to preach that to the Western society. It's to tell that to the Muslims themselves, because, my friend, you have a problem in Islam. I'm not saying that we have a problem with Islam. There is a problem in Islam. And the only one who can win this war of ideas, this religious war, are the Muslims themselves. And only you can stand against those Islamists and jihadists and tell them that what they do is against your beliefs and against your religion. That's what I would expect from the Western society, from the United States, and from the President Obama, to say to the international community and, of course, to the Muslim world altogether.